Hello there, I'm Michelle Dewbs with you till 7 o'clock tonight alongside me, Suzanne Evans, the political commentator, and Kevin Craig, the CEO of PLMR Communications. I've annoyed myself during that break, everyone, because I started thinking then about, we're talking about Boris Johnson perhaps losing his parliamentary estate pass. And then I was thinking, actually, why is that even a thing? Why are you and me and all of the rest of us taxpayers subsidising people to go into the parliamentary estate and eat and drink subsidised food? And I had a look because I was just thinking, I wonder how many of these things there are. I've started scrolling and there are loads. You want to see the list? I'm going to try and get a figure before the end of the programme because it's really annoyed me. Why is it a thing? Why should they still get to continue that access paid for by the likes of me and you? And speaking of paying for stuff, everybody, do you think that rich people should do, and this is a direct quote, their patriotic duty and pay more tax? The Shadow Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, he says that high net worths should basically stop trying to find clever accounting tricks and contribute basically to real improvements in public services. Suzanne, you used to be involved in UKIP, the ultimate patriot, some would say. Do you think how patriotic you are is linked to how much tax you pay? I think it's nonsense.
No, of course it isn't. It's absolute nonsense. I mean, are we saying that people who are on government benefits and don't pay any tax, or people who are on minimum wage and pay minimum tax, are we saying they're not patriotic? Absolute tosh. I'm afraid this is absolutely typical, Wes Streeting's comments, of the kind of socialist hatred of the rich. And let's not forget, fact for you, the top 1% of all taxpayers, the highest 1% who pay the highest taxes, pay 28.9% of the entire tax take. So that's nearly a third. And we're I think the top 1% pay 28% of all of the total income tax. I don't think it's the whole tax take. I think it's the income tax. It's not the whole tax take, but of course, arguably, the wealthiest people in society are also paying more in indirect taxes, like VAT. They might not be paying it as relative to their income, but in terms of actual monetary funding for the government, they're paying more VAT than the rest of us because they're spending more than us because they've got that extra spending power. To say that they're going to have to pay more tax to be patriotic is utter nonsense. All we'll end up doing if we continue to overtax people is the very wealthiest in society will leave the country, move their tax affairs somewhere else because they can afford to do it.
Well, I hope you don't mind me saying you're quite a wealthy man, a very successful, self-made man.
Everyone on this panel is 1% by my reckoning.
No. Really?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not.
No, you look at it. Institute for Fiscal Studies website. Look it up. Put your household income in.
What? How do you know where I live? Well, actually, we'll come on to that in the break. What do you think, though, to this notion? Bring it back. So, First of all, two questions. What is how patriotic you are got to do with how much tax you pay?
OK, so I grew up in poverty and I don't live in poverty anymore, right? But what I do know is about the modern Labour Party and Wes Streeting. I'll put that back at you, Suzanne. To say that he or Labour now is anti-wealth or anti-aspiration, I think that's the nonsense, not how you characterised his views. And I think there is an element of, he's not excluding people who don't pay lots of tax from being patriotic. What he's making a really good point, which I think is that it is patriotic if you become wealthy in this country and you don't choose to go down the non-dom offshore route and you think to yourself, well, actually still, there are many other countries where people pay more tax, and look at this country, look what I've got, relatively low corruption, rule of law, a fantastic parliamentary democracy, great state education, so many other things, that it is patriotic to not move your affairs offshore when you get minted, yes.
And do you think that the wealthy should pay more?
Well, you'll hear a statement a lot from Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting, which is that those with the broadest shoulders, right? So what that means broadly is, if you look at the state of our country today, how do we think it's going, right? Is it well funded enough? Are public services great? Is the environment super? And do we need to look, without killing aspiration? Because I'm some might not like this, Suzanne, but the modern Labour Party is pro-business, pro-aspiration. That's why a guy like, I can't remember his name, South African Gary, whose family auto glass, you get your windscreen broken in cars, he's recently donated £5 million of his money to the Labour Party. He's not an idiot. He thinks that we need strong businesses.
Right, I don't want to get myself into legal hotspots, so let me press pause on auto, glass, whatever it is, and I'm going to make this a broad question.
Good customer experience of them?
Do you, when I hear about, oh, well, such and such a business person obviously thinks that the Labour Party is so amazing that they have made donations, and this is a general point I'm making. I don't feel that sentiment when I hear that. What I feel is, well, such and such a businessman is basically edging his bets, and he reckons that there's a strong chance that Labour Party will be the next government, so he's trying to curry favour with them.
I never had you as cynical. I never had you as cynical. I mean,
well, there's a new day for everything.
I'm surprised.
I must admit, I'm kind of, in one sense, inclined to agree with you, because I actually don't think either Conservatives or Labour are terribly pro-business at the moment. We've just had the Conservatives increase corporation tax to 25%. Absolutely ludicrous way to shoot the country in the foot. I was reading some statistics about Ireland. You know, in Ireland, the rate of corporation tax is 12.5%. 50% of Ireland's corporation tax intake comes from just 10 US corporations who funnel their money through Dublin purely to avoid US taxes. But that means that Ireland is now running a budget surplus, and they're setting up a sovereign wealth fund next year to support the Irish community. That's what low taxes do for you. High taxes, all they do is just encourage people to move away.
We've been out and about asking you good folk whether or not you think the rich should pay more. Let's have a listen.
Absolutely. Well, why is it that the poor people have to be paying all these taxes all the time?
If you're rich, go somewhere better.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, rich people pay whatever they're entitled to pay, the same as the poor people. So, I mean, it's just an equal right, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I think they should, because us poor people, they're getting taxed, and we ain't got it like that. These rich people should be paying more money and contributing.
I do believe rich people should get taxed more than regular people.
But they do. They really do. And this is actually the tax burden in this country, as we say, it's the highest it's been in years. I've got to go to a break, but you said to Suzanne that you thought it was a bit of a nonsense of the Labour Party anti-aspiration. I don't think that's a nonsense. I think it's true. I think that they play this kind of tax the rich, tax the rich. I think they use it as a political game.
But you don't like the Labour Party. But you don't like the Labour Party.
I'll give you a very quick example before I go to the break. This whole stupidity when they start going about changing the fee basis for your private schools. They're doing that not because they think it's a very fiscally astute policy, because it's not, it's nonsense. They're doing that because what they're trying to do is resonate with the working class base, going, yeah, get those rich people and sort them out.
What is rich?
But it's not. If you're rich and your kids are in private school, you don't care if there's a 20% added to your fee. You can suck it up. What you can't suck up, if you are the striver that goes without, makes sacrifices and puts your kid in school, that 20% will push you over the edge, and your kids will be back in the state school. That's why I have the view that I do. Anyway, you tell me at home, what do you make to it? Child killers, should they ever be released from prison? That